Today, Bitcoin ends the week in the red, and Ripple co-founder Chris Larsen breaks down why he's donated more than $11.8 million to Kamala Harris's presidential bid. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Brandon Gomez. Crypto markets mostly flat this morning as of noon Eastern. Bitcoin and Ether gained just under 0.1%, trading at $67,697 and $2,525 respectively. And Solana rose 1.5% to $172. Now for the week, Bitcoin lost 1.5% and Ether dropped nearly 5%. Solana, however, jumped more than 11%. All right, let's talk about Ripple for our main story. On Wednesday, Crypto World's Tanea McKeel spoke with its CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, at DC FinTech Week, where he expressed optimism for the future of U.S. crypto regulation following the election.
I think this is the most important election we have had, but I also believe no matter what happens, we're going to have a more pro-crypto, more pro-innovation Congress than we've ever had. I think no matter what happens, we're going to leave behind a failed approach from the Biden administration. It has been an attack, and it isn't just the SEC. You know, look, the OCC is hostile towards crypto. The Treasury is hostile towards crypto.
Also this week, CNBC reported on Ripple's co-founder and executive chair Chris Larsen putting up more than $11.8 million to back Kamala Harris this election cycle, making him one of the industry's largest individual contributors this cycle. Crypto World's Mackenzie Sigalo spoke with him about his political contributions and why he's choosing to back Kamala Harris in the presidential race.
So, Chris, you've emerged as the biggest single donor of the crypto industry this year. What compelled you to donate at this scale this election cycle?
Yeah, again, first, thanks for having us today. Look, there's been this really misguided war on crypto that's been led by Senator Warren. And I think everybody has realized that that was a huge mistake, that just resulted in sort of giving leadership to Singapore and London when it should have been in the U.S. It didn't protect consumers. It allowed sketchy foreign operators like FTX to rip off American consumers. So that's been a failure. But I think the good news now is that we see this sort of bipartisan support from whomever wins the White House, whether it is the Republicans or the Democrats. I think the war in crypto is over. And look, we want to encourage pro-digital asset political leaders. What we've done that on the congressional side through Fair Shake. That's a bipartisan super PAC. And I think it's really important that we do that in the presidential as well, particularly when both sides now we're going to see a sea change here. The war on crypto is going to be over one way or another, and we want to be supportive of that in a bipartisan way.
Now, new federal election filings this week show that you've given nearly $12 million, mostly in XRP, to the Harris campaign. Why are you throwing your weight behind the vice president?
Well, we're really excited by her economic message. It is a message now of pro-innovation and making sure that, our American champions dominate, their industries around the world. So I'm excited about that. I think the Harris, administration, look, their DNA is from, the world capital of innovation right here in the Bay Area, that the place that's created more trillion-dollar companies than any place on the planet. She gets that. She grew up here. She knows people that founded these companies. So I'm just really, really confident that this is going to be a completely different approach than I think I'll just say it, the failed policy that the Biden administration brought when it came to crypto and digital assets. Because frankly, I think they just weren't paying attention and they sort of outsourced it to Senator Warren, and it was a disaster. But that is not going to be how the Harris campaign approaches this. I'm extremely confident in that.
And are you confident because of meetings that you're having with her team behind closed doors?
There's been a lot of meetings, I think, with folks that will be in her administration, with the industry, and not just with the crypto industry. Look, they've been on a tour all around this country, meeting with business folks in New York and in the Bay Area and LA, Texas, Florida. And I think consistently what they heard is the last administration was too anti-business. It was sort of this class warfare. And that's not how it's going to be in a Harris administration. It's going to be pro-innovation. It's going to be American champions, dominate their industries. And by the way, that helps workers, right? I think the thing the Biden folks missed is, you can't have prosperity with workers unless our national champions are dominating their world markets. And I think the Harris administration gets that.
Now, all in, the crypto industry has raised around $218 million. A lot of that money has actually gone to down ballot races as the sector looks to build a Congress that will vote through favorable laws. Why has your personal donation focus been more on the White House versus potentially trying to target some of these House and Senate races that will decide the composition of what Capitol Hill looks like?
Yeah, well, actually, we've been major contributors to Fair Shake, which is the super PAC that has been targeting congressional races, the down ballot races. But Fair Shake made a decision they were not going to get involved in the presidential election. So I think that kind of left that wide open in a more ad hoc fashion, if you will. And, again, what I saw was kind of all the donations going on the Republican side, which is fine. I get it. They've been very pro crypto. But again, Harris administration has also made it very clear this is going to be a very different approach. It's going to be a reset. And I think it's actually good for the industry to have that bipartisan support and weight. And kind of what I did there now kind of equals that out in the same way that Fair Shake has spent equally on Dems and Republicans who are pro crypto.
Yeah, and as you noted, Ripple is one of 4 major contributors to Fair Shake. I think roughly $50 million all in. So certainly a force to be reckoned with this election cycle with that level of money in the coffers. And Fair Shake has fresh numbers just out. It has, as you said, been pretty equitable with respect to supporting both Democrats and Republicans, candidates across the country, a mix of House and Senate races. One of those races I wanted to single out and get your opinion on. You've got your Senate banking chair in Ohio, Sherrod Brown. The most spend that we've seen has gone to trying to vote him out in favor of Bernie Moreno, $40 million going into that Senate race. Do you think that's money well spent, or do you think that we should have seen that parsed out across a few more races?
Well, look, I know that's controversial. That's not popular on the Dem side. But again, Fair Shake is in it for the long haul, right? So this isn't just one cycle. We have to show up consistently for the many years and decades ahead, and we will. So this is just the beginning. But I think the message there is, look, again, what did this war on crypto accomplish? Again, it did not protect consumers from FTX. It empowered sketchier foreign operators. It hobbled our national champions that were the most compliant. It was counterproductive. And unfortunately, Senator Brown was a blocker there as chair of the banking committee and sort of blocking sensible regulation. Look, the industry's been asking for more regulation, not less. And he was part of that group that was consistently blocking it. And look, I've had direct conversations with Senator Brown. I actually like him. I admire what he's done. But there's something weird going on where he's sort of equating what NAFTA did for workers, you could argue that either way, with crypto policy and innovation policy. And I think that just sort of misses the point. We hope, though, that the new Congress is going to be more constructive on these issues, and I think they will be.
Now, part of what made Donald Trump so popular with the crypto industry was his promise to fire SEC Chair Gensler. Now, we know that he can only unseat him from the chairman seat, but still that remains one of Trump's stickiest talking points. Ripple obviously has been battling the SEC for years now. You're in the process of countersuing the commission. Do you think that Harris would also displace Gensler from that role?
Well, look, let me just say, I think Gary Gensler has been the worst public servant that we've ever had in this country. It's been incredibly damaging to this country. But look, I think we need to be really thoughtful here. I look at what sort of Reid Hoffman said about Lena Khan. He's a big contributor to the Dems. He said Lena Khan needs to go. That's spectacularly backfired, right? If anything, that probably ensures Lena Khan stays in that role. And, we could argue, the things that she's done, some good, some bad. But I'm not going to empower Gary Gensler to have any excuse, on what happens with his future. So I'm not going to comment on that. And I don't think donors should be getting involved in things like that, right? We're supporting the candidate. We're supporting her core values. And it is, her leadership that is going to, have to make decisions like that.
Last question for you. We're less than 2 weeks out from the election. Some people are billing this as a hugely significant moment for the digital asset industry, that it's never been more important to elect pro-crypto candidates on both sides of the aisle. up and down the ballot, that it could be a death blow to the industry, at least in the US, if that doesn't happen. How would you set the stakes?
Oh, I think the stakes are incredibly high. I mean, look, the U.S. in this world of innovation and fast-moving technology like we've never seen before, and it's just speeding up, right, on every front, the U.S. has to lead here. We led on the internet. We dominate the internet. That's been incredibly good for the United States, and we have to make sure we do that with this new Internet of Value. That's what digital assets also represent. We have to dominate. And it is just, I'm just so pleased to see that the Harris folks, they understand that, right? Again, you can't have prosperity with your workers unless we dominate these key, markets throughout the world.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World this week. We're back again on Monday. We'll see you then.